Hello everyone, this is Shailesh from New Zealand Global News, which is NZ World News, bringing you once again live here with another person. Absolutely delightful to get her insights, and she's called Alex Bonham. Here in the city in Auckland, beautiful city in Auckland, and one of the best Freeman's Bay area, which is Waitemata Local Board as well. And she is also a board member of the Waitemata Local Board. But we are going to have a good conversation today, and let's see what brings us with our series called Real Connection. Hello, Alex. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
It is great pleasure to meet you once again. And I know you do quite a bit in this city and for this city. And you're very passionate, which I know, for communities that we bring people together. But this is all about how we connect people. And that's why I'm started this series called Real Connection. So I would like to invite you to this series, and it is a delightful pleasure. So I wanted to give me a little bit of insights of yours, who you are, and what you really passionate about, and so that I can capture some of your best moments.
So I'm Alex Bonham. I have a Kiwi mum from Lower Hutt and an English dad. They met on cruise ships in the late 1960s. So I grew up over there, but I always loved coming over to New Zealand, and I came here because I had a broken heart, really, when I was 32, and I had always loved coming to New Zealand, and I really wanted to live here. So it was a carrot and a stick, and I came over here 2009, and I live here now with my husband and my two children, who are 7 and 9, and I'm doing a PhD on play in the city, and I'm also an elected member on the Waitemata local board, and I'm just trying to keep Auckland and this particular magical quarter of it as lovely a place to live as possible.
Alex, I wanted to ask you a couple of things and wanted to see how you have faced some challenges during this pre-COVID and COVID time, pre-lockdown, post-lockdown, whatever you call it, this is lockdown. But really speaking, it is a lockdown, but what it means to you, what changes you have experienced, and what do you think you have experienced that you could share to the people that could resonate with you?
Well, I, like many other mums, had got completely used to going to work in the morning at 8:30 and then getting home at 5:30. So for me, lockdown was this glorious chance to just spend a lot more time with my children, and I like them. So it was very nice, and it was also an opportunity to do some things that I never really had time for, that I loved doing as a kid. And I will sound, I might surprise you with what I really enjoyed, but I really enjoyed weaving and knitting.
Wow.
And getting back to doing those things that I'd done as a teenager, and even before that, because I was learned all these things by sort of like quite older women when I was a kid. It was still a thing in the 1980s to learn to knit and to mend and to sew.
Yep.
And it was just lovely to get back and do that and be calm and enjoy the garden. And yeah, like so many others there who didn't have to actually face personal tragedy during COVID, there was this silver lining of just spending more time with people that
you
I loved.
care to love.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Lots of positives by just being with the family, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you could think of, that you never have realized that you would be spending time with your kids or with your family.
Yeah.
But it was like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it was. And I get on better with my husband now, too.
Awesome.
I know.
It's a positive
And that's another positive thing.
I love it.
We just started working really well as a team because we had to. And now we try and carry it on. Well, it's a pleasure. The positive out of a negative in recent times. Well, I think it's been a bit of a rupture, and it's been very uncertain. And I've been working with business associations and businesses who just have not known how much more money to borrow because they don't know what tomorrow will bring. And it has been very stressful. What it's meant for some of those businesses is that they have done pivots to become stronger businesses. And there's a sort of echo here in the country, I think, at large, that we have realized that actually we can deal with change and find silver linings and actually address some really big issues that are coming our way, and some quite dramatic things. Directives are coming from government at the moment about waste, about how cities should be designed, and it's quite bracing. It's like, whoa, oh my gosh, that's going to be quite a change. But I feel like we've sort of gone, okay, we can deal with change, we can make this work. So I feel like that our job at the moment, and my job as planning lead on the Waitemata Local Board, is to try and shape the directives that we're getting from government to really try and make it work and find the joy in the way that a lot of us found the joy during lockdown.
So being as a planner in the local board, definitely it will be a great for you to get a new platform or a new norm or a new planning initiatives that could really work for the future generations. So in that regard, what are the positives that you are seeing? That couple of things that you are, I see that you are quite advocator for communities, for transports, for having children's freedom. They can go to the park, pools, all of that. So planning definitely is a key ingredient of all of this.
There was a thing going around in the UK, it was in the Daily Mail, about how over 4 generations children's independent movement had massively narrowed. So sort of like great grandpa Jock had been able to walk 6 miles to go fishing in the pond back in the 20s, and then his son could walk to the leisure centre, and then his daughter could go round the block. And now the child is unable to actually leave the apartment building by themselves. They can't even get through the front door. And the reasons for this is not, I think, that parents are completely mollycoddling. It's just that there is so much traffic and it goes so fast. Because the urban realm isn't so nice and we're so busy and we drive a lot, children get more likely to get lost because they're not allowed to go out and explore. And so it's this sort of vicious circle of not being able to let your kids out because they don't know the local area, which they don't know because they're never allowed out. But quite recently, the Vision Zero legislation reducing traffic speeds in the city centre came through, so now it's 30k in the city centre, and there are pushes to try and reduce traffic speeds around schools and high streets as well. It would be lovely if that included getting across the road to a park. With increased density and safer roads, that could also make it possible for kids to just head out after their afternoon tea to the park, and they will find other friends who they can play with and climb trees and do things like that, which would be just fantastic.
We will see a lot of changes in the coming months, in years, and the policies that to make more safer, more community driven, more organized planning.
I think there's definitely going to be changes with climate change coming, and either we try and be at the front of those changes and trying to channel those changes so that we keep children's happiness in mind, keep the happiness of seniors in mind, and everybody who works here to try and create the future that we want, or the future will just hit us and we will have to deal with it come what may. Either way, I feel pretty confident that people will be able to find sort of solutions and find ways to cope with it. But sometimes it can be more painful than others. It would be lovely if we can try and care for everyone and make it as less painful as possible. So there's an extraordinary opportunity here if we seize it and to know how important it is. Yeah.
So what I see and what I hear from you is what you want to see is like more and more safer communities, but also kids' freedom. And the planning going around that is all should be about the communities in the coming generations to come.
Basically, yeah. And I don't think that there's any particular exceptionalism for one culture over another. When they've done research all over the world, people love nature.
Yes.
They like there to be parks and trees. They like to be able to see those things from their window, and they like to walk out into it quite easily. children are the same all around the world. They don't like noisy, dirty, scary traffic. They don't like weird people. That's another thing. And what they do like is being able to access a variety of play spaces where they can play with their friends. So it's pretty universal. And the same for adults too. Really, we like being able to access different places where we can be with other people.
If I have to ask you, like, what are the changes that you have already seen or already making in progress for the Auckland city when you compare with other cities, or what you want to see in Auckland city, what has been so far, that you are seeing some changes already happening that would really help in terms of our future generation?
Well, there are some exciting developments that are happening around Great North Road Ridge and around Ponsonby Road. So we've got this great new food market coming in next to Ponsonby Central, and the idea is to have a roof garden on top of there. So that will be really lovely. There are more buildings with great big apartments as well. For a long time, apartments in the city centre were really quite small, but now they're becoming a lot larger, and that will help because people need their own space, and have a room of their own. I think if they, so they can do their own thing. Otherwise, it usually comes down to the most dominating person in the room chooses everything. So if you have a number of different spaces, you know, it means mums and kids and potentially husbands can also choose to do their own thing.
So what's the work-life balance has been in terms of your own experience for you?
It's, golly, I was always a bit of a swot at school, and it's always nice to do well, but at the same time, it's really, really important to not let work take over. And I usually find that when I spend more time with friends, I usually learn so much from them, as well as enjoying the experience so much, that I have saved myself half a day of work anyway. So it's easy to get trapped in stuff, but it's actually just so much more effective and joyful to just share things.
So what do you think for you, but particularly when it comes to COVID-19 pandemic, this scenario, everybody has faced challenges, everybody in their own are having their own struggles and battles and overcoming those things. What do you see this, which has turned out to be for everyone, but for you in particular, what do you think the positive outcomes out of this that you can pinpoint and say,
Well, one thing is we're having a conversation now about how to support people whose lives have been threatened by the change in the business and economic landscape. And I am really delighted to see that there are talks about guaranteed minimum income. There are talks about unemployment insurance, so that people who perhaps used to be better off also get supported when their circumstances dramatically change from unforeseen circumstances. So sometimes the mortgages are sort of considered almost like a private savings scheme. You know, you put your money into your mortgage and you're sort of saving up, but actually they're not savings that you can easily access when times are bad. And often when such things happen, everybody's in the same boat and the property prices might go down, or it's just, you don't want to sell anyway. So I think we've shifted from going, people who don't have work, it's clearly their fault. You know, I mean, that was never a kind or particularly honest sort of or good way to treat people. I think because so many people who used to be in work now find themselves in difficult circumstances, that I think it's really, really rammed home that you just have to support people when they need it. And the way that the Labour government did just immediately start putting money into companies to pay workers turned what could have been a hugely traumatic situation. Having those conversations help too, and I think that, you know, whatever happens, you know, after the election, this is a conversation that has to be had. And the more equitable the culture, the more connected we are as well. Children are all agreed that the world should be as fair as it possibly can be.
So you are all about the positives that you would like to see changes or challenge in the future is all the equitable fairness, working together, supporting each other, those kind of values that you would like to see.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Alex has given us some great experiences of her insights, and I can not be more happy to interview her or have a conversation with her once again next time when she has got time. But one thing I can definitely take it from here, the most positive thing from Alex, that she has got that urge, that hunger to do lots of things for our Auckland city. And I really, really appreciate the work that she's putting in. And I would like to see the progress as well. But more importantly, she's going to be a more inspiration for many people to lead in this kind of initiatives where she would like to see more safer communities, more independence for the kids, more parks, more nature, I would say, which aligns with me because nature is a big part of our humans and we need to be in the nature and not away from the nature. So thank you once again, Alex, for your absolutely time that you gave to us today in having a conversation, and I look forward to have more conversations with you.
It was really lovely to chat. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And thank you, NZ World News, for this opportunity to chat and be able to talk about all the positive things that are going on at the moment at local government level, in the advocacy space, and in national government level too. There are so many good people behind the scenes and in front of the camera all doing such good work, and it's so rare to get an opportunity to talk about the good work that is being done. So thank you.